Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Keybank Center in Buffalo in upstate New York. And Dynamite just ended, and I gotta say, it was a very good show tonight. Really enjoyed Dynamite tonight. Of course, this was their fallout from All Out, which was this past Sunday, which I did watch All Out. I watched it from the second hour because I missed the first hour because I was at work. So picked up from the show during the second hour on Sunday, and I thought All Out was a good show. But a lot of people, enjoyed All Out. But people have been talking about the post media scrum of All Out. That had to do with CM Punk, because CM Punk was talking shit, run his mouth, mentioning about Colt Cabana and talking shit about Hangman and Page. And then he went on to talk shit about the Young Bucks and also Kenny Omega. So Punk, of course, run his mouth, and it's a whole mess with this situation. Like, this media scrum overshadowed All Out, in my opinion, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, All Out was a good show, but a lot of people have been talking about the media scrum, with CM Punk and what Tony Khan is going to do with CM Punk. Is he going to fire Punk? Who knows? And then there was a report that came out today that Malachi Black has been released, but AEW has not officially announced his release. And this release is a quote-unquote conditional release, meaning that Malachi Black could come back to AEW, and that there might be some non-compete clause, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, since this is a conditional release, is Malachi Black going back to WWE? No. A return of Malachi Black going to WWE will not be happening anytime soon. So, but from what I heard, he has shown concerns about his mental health, because of his personal life, due to the booking and handling of how his character is. So, I hope Malachi Black, just does better and, gets over, this, mental health, crisis that he's going through. So, but hopefully, he ends up returning, and they could hopefully do his character, a whole lot better. So, but yeah, Malachi Black has been released, but a conditional release. And then there was also another report that came out earlier today, which has now been updated. And the report was Thunder Rosa requested her release from AEW. But Thunder Rosa's husband, this is the update, Thunder Rosa's husband has denied the report. So Thunder Rosa didn't even request her release from AEW. So yeah, Thunder Rosa is not going anywhere. And then there was also another report back to the whole CM Punk situation. So AEW has suspended the Elite, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Brandon Cutler, and they also suspended Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, Michael Nakazawa. And the reason why they were suspended, because of the whole CM Punk situation, the fight that involved, some of the stars at All Out on Sunday night. So Dave Meltzer ended up tweeting out that everyone involved in the brawl is now officially suspended. So that's the Bucks, Omega, and then Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, Brandon Cutler, and Michael Nakazawa. And he also said that Ace Steel is CM Punk's best friend. He also said that Ace Steel was also taken off, and that CM Punk's situation should be clear soon. and it's all pending on the completion of the investigation. So it is unclear how long the Bucks and Omega and Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, Brendan Cutler, Michael Nakazawa, it's unclear how long that they will be suspended, but it says right here in the report it's longer than a week, and I'm getting this from WrestlingNews.co. So, and then Steven Muehlhausen, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, he ended up tweeting this out. And he ended up saying that Justin Barrasso's report about the suspensions of the Elite, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler, Pat Buck, and Christopher Daniels is 100% correct. How long is unknown, but more than a week from what I've been told, as a third-party investigation is underway. And of course, this is all what's going on because of the fight that started after Punk blasting Colt Cabana, shitting on Colt Cabana, shitting on Hangman and Page, and the Bucks and Kenny Omega at the media scrum. So, a mess what's going on. So, this whole situation will be taken care of. And what's said right here, there's going to be an investigation. So, but not good news going on for the week in AEW. So just wanted to get that news out. That news pretty much is crazy. And a whole mess, with the whole CM Punk situation, him talking shit at the post-media scrum after All Out. But moving on to Dynamite for tonight. Dynamite opened up with Tony Khan. And he made an announcement, and he got boos from the crowd there in Buffalo because of everything that's going on, with the post-media scrum after All Out, and everything. So he got booed, and he made the announcement that the Trios Championship and the AEW World Championship are vacated. The Trios Championship was held by the Elite, but, because of what happened, Tony Khan ended up stripping them of the Trios Championship. And he also ended up stripping CM Punk of the World Championship because of him talking shit at the post-media scrum. So those titles were vacated, and he ended up announcing that for the Trios Championship, it will be the Best Friends versus the Death Triangle. And whoever won the match will be the new Trios champions. So we saw that match tonight. Now, his announcement for the AEW World Championship, a tournament is going to be taking place, which the tournament started tonight, and the tournament's going to conclude at Grand Slam in 2 weeks at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which I will be there. Yes, I am going to Grand Slam in 2 weeks. Going to be my first AEW show live, and I can't wait. I can already tell it's going to be a very good show. A very hot crowd is going to be there at Arthur Ashe Stadium. I can already feel it. But can't wait. So, going to be seeing a new AEW World Champion in 2 weeks at Grand Slam. So, they call this tournament the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. And we saw Hangman and Page versus Bryan and Danielson, the quarterfinals. And on Friday on Rampage, we're going to see Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. So this is going to be their fourth match that they're having, both Guevara and Darby Allin. So whoever won the Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson match will get to face Chris Jericho next week on Dynamite. And whoever wins Guevara and Darby Allin Friday on Rampage will face Jon Moxley. So, and then the final will take place at Grand Slam. So that's how this tournament is, set up. But we saw all that tonight, and we also saw Toni Storm versus Penelope Ford. The TNT Championship was on the line where Wardlow defended the title against Tony Nese. And we also had in the main event the ROH Pure Championship on the line, where Wheeler Yuta defended the title against Daniel Garcia in his hometown. But overall, Dynamite, very good show it was tonight. But anyways, let's get on with the Dynamite review. I already talked about how Dynamite opened with Tony Khan making the announcement, with the best friends versus the Death Triangle, and the winner will be the new Trios champions, and the whole tournament to crown a new AEW World Champion, which will, of course, conclude at Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So then after that, we had MJF. MJF ended up returning at All Out on Sunday, and we heard, the voicemail from Tony Khan, wanting MJF to appear at All Out, and he won the casino ladder match. He was, in disguise wearing a mask. So, but really happy to see MJF back. We all missed him. But MJF ended up coming out, got a huge ovation there in Buffalo. So he ended up running over, he ended up giving Taz a hug. He then got on the mic, and he ended up saying that last time we saw him, he might have been offensive. But we can all agree that he didn't mean any of it, and that he was just kidding. MJF ended up claiming that he loves AEW, and that he will never leave AEW. So he started leading an AEW chant to the crowd, and the crowd was chanting AEW. And MJF ended up claiming that he didn't mean it when he called the fans stupid marks. So MJF ended up recapping the fact that there will be a tournament for the AEW World Championship. And he knows one guy that deserves the title. He then wanted to say that he's all about working smart and not hard. And he ended up saying that he's not working in that tournament. And he has a chip that guarantees him a title shot whenever he wants. And that TK is paying him a buttload of money. So of course he won the casino ladder match at All Out on Sunday. And, when he came out at the end of the show, he got a huge ovation from the crowd there in Chicago. Everybody was happy to see MJF. But MJF here in this promo, he's coming off as a babyface, but it's MJF. You can't possibly believe that they're making him a babyface here. If you know MJF, you know he's trolling the hell out of you. So, he ended up saying that he will win the World Championship because he's MJF. And he's better than you, and you know it. So then, Jon Moxley ended up making his way out. Jon Moxley made his way to the ring. He got on the mic. He ended up saying that MJF is full of crap. So MJF then turned on the crowd. He trolled everybody. He ended up trashing their football team. And he ended up saying that maybe he doesn't care about AEW. And the World Championship is nothing more than a bargaining chip for the bidding war of 2024. Because, of course, MJF still keeps on mentioning about 2024, which is when his contract is up. So MJF was like, maybe I'll take the title to a real wrestling company. Of course, mentioning WWE. Man, MJF really wants to go to WWE. He can't stop mentioning about it. He kept saying, oh, maybe I'll take the title to a real wrestling company, aka WWE, with real wrestlers like Cody Rhodes, because he mentioned Cody Rhodes once again. So MJF ended up saying that he might work for the only con worth the damn, jolly old Saint Nick. And then he ended up quoting his hero, The Game, aka Triple H. He ended up saying that, oh, maybe that's what's best for business. So Moxley ended up saying that this isn't the time or place, and that he's not in the mood. And so he ended up saying that MJF needs to leave the ring, or he will make him. Moxley then took his jacket off. MJF was struggling to get his shirt off. He was wearing a red shirt. And it looked like that Moxley and MJF were going to go at it. But MJF got out of the ring and he retreated to the back. And then Moxley on the mic, he was like to MJF, "Your music sucks, by the way." So then Moxley ended up saying that he's pissed off about many things. None more than the fact that he doesn't have the World Championship. Moxley then passionately talked about what that World Championship means to him. He ended up going on to say that it's his fault that he lost it, and that he's supposed to be on vacation right now. But Moxley ended up saying that he has another shot at the title in the tournament, and that it's time to be a legend. So that was what Moxley had to say, but I thought this was a very good segment here. You know, MJF coming out, getting a big pop there in Buffalo, and trolling the fans, thinking that, oh, he's a baby face. But I'm like, you can't picture MJF being a baby face. We're all used to MJF being a heel. MJF being a heel suits him. It fits him. And then you have Moxley coming out there, and then MJF quickly goes back to heel and trashing the Buffalo's football team. So, but MJF, you know, you gotta love his trolling. So, but a very good segment this was. And then we had the first match of the night, which was a trios match to crown new AEW World Trios Champions. So it was the Death Triangle, Pac, Penta Oscuro, Ray Phoenix versus the Best Friends, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and Orange Cassidy. Of course, the Death Triangle was accompanied out there by Alex Abrahantes, and the Best Friends was accompanied out there by Danhausen. Very good match this was. We had both teams. They ended up getting big ovations from the Buffalo crowd. And the match started off with Orange Cassidy and Pac, which was pretty cool. But Penta ended up tagging in. He flipped into the ring. And we had Penta end up doing the Cierro Miedo to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy ended up taking off his glasses, his shades, and he ended up tossing them to Danhausen, which got a huge pop from the crowd. Orange Cassidy tried to put his hands in his pockets, but Penta ended up going after him. Orange Cassidy ended up countering Penta into a backbreaker, countered by a Hurricanrana. So Ray Phoenix ended up tagging in. The Death Triangle ended up going for a triple tope, but they were sent out to the outside by the Best Friends. And then Orange Cassidy did a front flip onto all members of the Death Triangle, which was cool. So during the picture-in-picture, Chuck Taylor did a massive dive onto everyone on the outside, which was cool. Pac whipped Trent into the corner. Trent countered with a stomp to Pac. Orange Cassidy ended up tagging in. And Orange Cassidy and Trent ended up delivering a double rana to Penta and Phoenix. And then Cassidy ended up running into an elbow by Pac. Danhausen was up on the apron. Alex Abrahantes ended up dragging Danhausen down. And Danhausen ended up punching Alex Abrahantes in the gut. Danhausen then ended up going to curse Pac. And Pac ended up delivering a boot to Danhausen. Orange Cassidy ended up throwing Pac into the ring, ended up hitting a crossbody, and then ended up hitting the swinging DDT to Pac. So we had Chucky T in the ring, and he was facing off against Phoenix and Penta. He ended up taking him out in the corner. Penta ended up following up with a lung blower to Chuck Taylor, and Penta ended up going for the cover, and Chuck Taylor ended up kicking out. So we had Phoenix tagged in, and he ended up eating a boot from Chuck Taylor into a half and half by Trent. So Trent delivered a DDT on Phoenix, which was cool. He springboarded up with a cutter. Orange Cassidy ended up spiking Pac. And Penta spiked Orange Cassidy. And then Trent ended up going for a crunchy but a double super kick. So at the end of the match, we had Pac end up going up to the top. He delivered the Black Arrow. And there you go. The Death Triangle end up winning the match. And they are the new AEW World Trios Champions. Very good match this was. And Pac made history tonight. He is holding one half of the Trios titles and is also the All-Atlantic Champion. So he's holding 2 belts, 2 titles. Awesome on Pac there. But very good match this was. Very physical match. And both of these teams gave it all they got in the match here. And then we went backstage and we saw Tony Schiavone. He was with the Dark Order. And Jose ended up appearing. Jose, of course, is Andrade's assistant. And Jose wanted 10 of the Dark Order to sign a contract for him to work with Andrade. But we had 10. He didn't want to sign the contract. And the Dark Order ended up fighting Jose off until Andrade and Rush ended up appearing. And the tension continued between the Dark Order and Andrade and Rush. So pretty much that was basically that. But I think it's time for them to split up the Dark Order. The Dark Order, to me, they have been treating them as a comedy act. And it's just time for them to split. It's time for them. And then we saw a little clip from backstage at All Out where Jamie Hayter was arguing with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And Jamie Hayter ended up walking off. And pretty much that was basically that. Just Jamie Hayter arguing with Britt Baker because of their fatal 4-way match at All Out on Sunday to crown a interim AEW Women's World Champion. To which, of course, Toni Storm ended up winning the match. You know, it was Toni Storm and Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. So Toni Storm won the match, and she's now the interim AEW Women's World Champion. And then we saw Toni Storm versus Penelope Ford. This was an okay match. Yeah, Penelope Ford being accompanied by her husband, Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian wearing the box on his head. You know, every time I see Kip Sabian, you know, made an appearance wearing the box on his head, you know, I'm like, he could be Awesome-Mo from South Park. Remember that episode of South Park with Awesome-Mo? Butters receiving, you know, the Awesome-Mo. You all remember that episode of South Park. Yeah, Awesome-Mo is Kip Sabian. So we had Toni Storm end up coming out. She got a huge ovation from the crowd. And the match got underway. Penelope Ford and Toni Storm end up locking up. You had Toni Storm delivering a quick wall-up on Penelope Ford, to which Penelope Ford kicked out. So Toni Storm ended up delivering some shoulder blocks to Penelope Ford and then delivered a drop kick into the corner to Penelope Ford. Penelope Ford ended up avoiding a hip attack from Toni Storm, but Toni Storm came back and delivered a drop kick. So Toni Storm ended up going to attack Penelope Ford, but she ended up getting thrown into the ring steps. So as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Penelope Ford was in control of the match, and we had Penelope Ford end up bringing Toni Storm into the corner. Penelope Ford ended up going for a cartwheel shoulder block, and she ended up going right into the ring post. Toni Storm ended up delivering a whip into the corner to Penelope Ford, and she delivered a massive hip attack. Toni Storm then ended up going for an elevated DDT to Penelope Ford. She ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Toni Storm ended up winning the match. Match was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible. It was okay. So then after that, we saw a video package was shown with Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. and also Action Bronson and Hook talking about what happened at All Out. So Action Bronson ended up telling Menard and Parker to come and see him at Grand Slam. So we're going to be seeing that go down at Grand Slam. And then we had the Acclaimed. We had Max Caster and Anthony Bowens end up coming out. They were accompanied by Billy Gunn. Max Caster was getting ready to do his rap, which he was interrupted by Swerve Strickland. Swerve ended up getting on the mic and he ended up asking Buffalo if they wanted to hear more corny rap jokes. And Swerve ended up saying that he has a joke for the Acclaimed, which is the Acclaimed want to become the AEW World Tag Team Champions. Billy Gunn then ended up cutting Swerve off, and he ended up saying that this isn't his house no more. This isn't Swerve's house no more. It's Daddy Ass's house. And Anthony Bowens ended up saying that at Grand Slam, the match is happening, and they're taking the gold home. And pretty much that was basically that. But this was all just to set up the rematch for the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory in 2 weeks at Grand Slam. AEW World Tag Team titles on the line. And I have a sense, my prediction is they're going to make the Acclaimed the new AEW World Tag Team Champions at Grand Slam. I can see that happening. That's my prediction. I think Swerve and Our Glory are losing the titles at Grand Slam, and the Acclaimed are going to be the new champions. And I think Max Caster got interrupted by Swerve and he didn't do his rap. I think that Max Caster was going to do a rap about everything that's going on behind the scenes, you know, from the post-media scrum to Punk and also the Elite and, you know, Michael Nakazawa and all of them, you know, being suspended. I have a sense that is what Max Caster was going to rap about. So Swerve ended up coming out there. So, you know, Tony Khan didn't want that, you know, happening. You know, what Max Caster rapping about, everything that's going on. So I have a sense that is why Swerve ended up coming out to interrupt. And then after that, we had the Jericho Appreciation Society. We had Tony Schiavone backstage with them. Jericho ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that Sunday at Grand Slam was a gigantic win for him. Jericho ended up claiming that he has found the fountain of youth, which is why he could beat Bryan Danielson. Jericho ended up claiming himself the best wrestler and the best sports entertainer ever. He ended up saying that this is why he will beat Bryan again next week. And then he will win the AEW World Championship. Because this is his company and his fucking locker room. So Jericho just spoiled that for next week. Maybe they put this segment out of order in the script, but who knows? So Jericho just spoiled that right there for the match next week. But who knows? That could change. So then we had Jericho end up saying that he has two little brothers. One of them is the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara, who was in the Tournament of Champions. Sammy Guevara ended up claiming that he will beat Darby Allin Friday on Rampage in the tournament. He ended up saying that Jericho ended up saying that his other brother is Daniel Garcia. And he ended up saying that Daniel Garcia will win tonight. But they're going to leave him alone, to do it alone. Sammy Guevara then ended up branding about how sexy he is. And pretty much that was basically that. Of course, Sammy Guevara was shown there with his wife, Ty Mello. Of course, the Mellow Yellow, Ty Mellow Yellow. And then we had Anna Cringe there. Thank God they didn't give her the mic. Thank God we didn't have to hear, "Oh, I'm going to choke you out. I'm going to choke you out." Thank God. Keep a mic away from Anna Jay. And then we had Wardlow versus Toni Nese, TNT Championship on the line. This was a squash match. So Wardlow ended up winning the match, retaining the title. Toni Nese, They really need to get Toni Nese away from Mark Sterling. I mean, Toni Nese is very talented, but they're booking him to become a loser. They're booking him not winning matches. Toni Nese deserves better than this. And they're making him out to be a fucking loser. So Wardlow just did a headbutt to Toni Nese. Wardlow ended up doing the powerbomb symphony. The crowd was cheering for Wardlow to do another powerbomb, and he ended up hitting it, and he ended up putting his foot on Toni Nese's chest, and they go, that's when Wardlow won the match. So post-match, Wardlow ended up dragging Mark Sterling into the ring. Josh Brooks ended up coming out to save Mark Sterling. Then Wardlow got on the mic, and he ended up saying that he's heard a lot on the internet that he has lost momentum. He ended up saying that he's the TNT champion, and it's time to remind everyone in the locker room, and also his fans, that this is his world. This is Wardlow's world. And pretty much that was basically what he had to say. But Wardlow needs better opponents. You can't keep feeding him jobber after jobber after jobber for him to defend the TNT championship on. And like I said, Toni Nese, he is being booked like a loser. They need to get him away from Mark Sterling and let him go out there on his own. I can't remember the last time that Toni Nese actually won a match. The guy deserves better. But this was a squash match. And then we saw a video package hyping up the Sammy Guevara Darby Allin match that we're going to see this Friday on Rampage in the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. So we had Darby Allin end up saying that he won't have Sting with him on Friday. And he suggests that Sammy Guevara to let the Jericho Appreciation Society stay in the back and for Sammy Guevara to come out alone so they could go one-on-one. So pretty much that was basically that, but good video package. And like I said, we're going to be seeing that match this Friday on Rampage. It's going to be a good match. And my prediction for the win, I like Sammy Guevara, but I have to go with Darby Allin. I'm a huge Darby Allin fan, and he's the best that AEW has. He's one of the top guys in AEW. So I'm going with Darby Allin. If Sammy Guevara wins, I will be happy about that. And then we had the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions kick off with Bryan Danielson versus Hangman and Page. This is the quarterfinals match. And this was a very good match, very entertaining. There was chemistry between both Bryan and Hangman here. And very physical match this was. And the wrestling here from both Bryan and Page was absolutely great. So we had Bryan end up coming out accompanied by William Regal. William Regal was on commentary here. Always a joy to hear Regal on commentary. So we had Bryan and Page. They were staring each other down. Page ended up extending his hand for Bryan to shake it. So Bryan didn't accept it. And we had Bryan end up rolling out. He started to work on Page's arm because they were doing a test of strength before that. So Bryan ended up rolling out of that, started to work on Page's arm. So they were going back and forth. They were countering. And Bryan ended up delivering a double slap to Page's chest, a chop to Page's chest. So Page ended up delivering a huge chop to Bryan, which that chop echoed throughout the arena. So both guys were just trading chops. Bryan ended up taking Page down into a surfboard, started stomping his legs. We had more chops and kicks by Bryan and Page. So they were just chopping and kicking away at each other. Bryan then delivered the yes kicks in the corner to Page. Bryan ended up going up to the top. Page ended up leveling. Bryan ended up knocking him to the outside. And from the chops, Page's chest was very red from those chops by Bryan. So Bryan delivered a hammerlock. He ended up driving Page into the ring post. And then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Bryan was in control of the match. He ended up hitting a huge knee to Page against the guardrail. And he was in control with a stomp to Page's arm. So, once again, they were just chopping away back and forth. Bryan delivered a moonsault reversal into the corner. Bryan went off the ropes into a fallaway slam by Page. So, Page ended up delivering a big dive to Bryan. Bryan was back in the ring. Page delivered a clothesline into a Death Valley driver, which looked great. So Page ended up going for the cover, and Bryan ended up kicking out. And both guys here, both Bryan and Page, were very weary, and they were very, beaten up. Later on in the match, we had Bryan end up delivering some flying kicks to Page. He then delivered a Hurricanrana and a kick to Page. He ended up going for the cover, and Page ended up kicking out at 2. We had Bryan ended up going up top. He was looking to go for the diving headbutt, and Page ended up stopping that. Page ended up being on Bryan, and then ended up hitting a moonsault to Bryan, which looked great. Page ended up going for the cover, and Bryan ended up kicking out. Page was on the apron. He was looking to go for the buckshot lariat, and Bryan ended up rolling out to the opposite corner. So Bryan then delivered some multiple uppercuts to Page, and he did that into a German suplex, which was countered by Page. Page ended up laying out Bryan with a powerbomb. He ended up going for the cover, and Bryan ended up kicking out. So we had, later on, Bryan transitioned into the bell lock, and Page ended up escaping and sent him into the ropes. And Bryan ended up bringing in the label lock again. Page ended up rolling out, connected with some knee strikes to Bryan's head to break up the label lock. So Page was going to hit Deadeye, and he did, and Bryan ended up kicking out of the pin. Bryan then ended up nailing the Busaku knee finisher to Page. Page ended up rolling out of the ropes. So later on, we had Bryan end up reversing the buckshot lariat into a roll-up, and he bridged Page, and there you go. Bryan Danielson ended up winning the match. So Bryan now faces Chris Jericho in the semifinal match next week on Dynamite in the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. But very good match this was, very intense, and very entertaining. Both Bryan and Page did very good here. The wrestling was great, and Bryan and Page work really well together. So, but very good match. So, who knows who will win next week? Whether it be Bryan Danielson or Chris Jericho. We'll have to wait and see. So then we had a hype video from Jungle Boy. He ended up saying that he's going to take years off Christian Cage's life. And he ended up saying to Luchasaurus, "I carried you for 3 years, and people said you were a joke. And maybe they were right." He ended up saying that you can move on from your past, but sometimes you have to destroy it. So that was that. Pretty good video from Jungle Boy. The whole Jungle Boy Christian feud is, still continuing. But from what I heard, Christian is injured, and that's why the match was short at All Out. And then we had Stokely Hathaway. Stokely Hathaway ended up coming out alongside his group. We had the Gun Club, Austin Colton, Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, and William Marcy, formerly known as Big Cass. So Stokely Hathaway was getting ready to speak for what he had to say, and a stagehand ended up coming up to Stokely Hathaway. So the stagehand guy was telling Stokely Hathaway, "We need to move on. We don't have time for what you have to say." So Stokely Hathaway didn't like that. He grabbed this stagehand guy and told him to show him some respect. And then Austin and Colton Gunn end up beating up on this stagehand guy. So Austin and Colton end up holding this stagehand guy up, and William Morrissey delivered a big boot to this stagehand guy, and pretty much that was basically that. Overall, this was a waste of time. This was a complete waste of everyone's time. Main event. We had Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta. ROH Pure Championship on the line. Wheeler Yuta, the Pure Champion. And this was a very good match here. Very entertaining. We had Westside Gunn. Who, you might ask? I don't even know who Westside Gunn was until tonight. Well, apparently he's a rapper, and he ended up doing a live rap rendition of Daniel Garcia's entrance. And in my opinion, it was terrible. I'm not a huge rap guy. Rap music is my least favorite genre in music. But Daniel Garcia came out, got a massive pop because this was in his hometown of Buffalo. And then Daniel Garcia ended up coming out. We had Caprice Coleman. He was out on commentary, which was good. And we had both guys end up locking up. And we had Yuta instantly going for Daniel Garcia's ankle. And we had Yuta and Daniel Garcia grappling. So we had a rope break being forced by Daniel Garcia. He ended up launching Wheeler Yuta out of the ring out to the floor. So we had Daniel Garcia end up stomping down on Wheeler Yuta. Both guys ended up going back and forth with some chops. Yuta then delivered a snap suplex to Daniel Garcia. He ended up going for the cover, and Daniel Garcia ended up kicking out. Daniel Garcia ended up fighting back. He delivered a splash in the corner and then laid out a lariat to Yuta. Daniel Garcia then connected with some suplexes. Yuta ended up reversing one of the suplexes and hit a suplex of his own to Daniel Garcia. But he then got caught on the second turnbuckle, and Yuta was German suplexed back to the ring by Daniel Garcia. So Yuta ended up exposing the cable, and he ended up putting together the turnbuckle. He ended up pushing Daniel Garcia's head down onto it. So we had both guys end up brawling on the turnbuckles as Daniel Garcia ended up hitting a superplex to Wheeler Yuta. So we had both guys end up slapping each other in the face. Daniel Garcia then locked in the Dragon Tamer, and Yuta ended up getting to the ropes to break it up. Daniel Garcia then locked in the Dragon Tamer again, only for Wheeler Yuta to reverse out of that, and he locked in the crossface on Daniel Garcia, and he transitioned that into a pin, to which Daniel Garcia ended up kicking out. So Yuta ended up trying to use Daniel Garcia's finisher, and Daniel Garcia ended up reversing that and locked in the Dragon Tamer again on Wheeler Yuta. Yuta ended up trying to get out of it, but he couldn't, so Wheeler Yuta ended up submitting. So there you go. Daniel Garcia ended up winning the match, and he is the new Ring of Honor Pure Champion. So he had confetti end up coming down. He won the title in his hometown, got a big ovation. Post-match, Bryan Danielson made his way down to the ring, and Wheeler Yuta ended up shoving Bryan. Wheeler Yuta then ended up shaking hands with Daniel Garcia. Bryan then ended up snatching the Pure Championship away from Daniel Garcia. And Bryan then wrapped the championship around Daniel Garcia to congratulate him. Bryan then ended up putting his hand out. Daniel Garcia ended up shaking Bryan's hand, and Chris Jericho made his way out. Jericho had a shocked look on his face from him seeing Daniel Garcia shaking Bryan's hand, to which Jericho and Bryan are going to be facing off next week in the Grand Slam Tournament of Champions. So it's going to be in the semifinals match. So he had to be shocked because seeing his, Jericho Appreciation Society guy shaking hands with his opponent for next week. So But that was how Dynamite went off the air. Overall, this was a good match between Wheeler Yuta and also Danny Garcia. And the wrestling here from the both of them was great. And they just worked really well. But overall, Dynamite tonight, very good show it was. Very entertaining. And the 2 hours flew by. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And I will see you guys on Friday for SmackDown and AEW Rampage. So, see you all then.